Are you feeling okay, Mr. Nelson?
I'm not really overweight, you know. I just have a large frame. Runs in our family.
Yes, I know, Mrs. Jones.
Is she kidding? Maybe we're all kidding ourselves about the shape we're in. In fact, the President's Council on Physical Fitness found that 6 out of 10 youths flunked the simplest tests of fitness, while most adults suffer from creeping overweight and are quickly exhausted by any abnormal burst of activity. What if Mr. Nelson had to run for his life? He'd never make it. The motor in his body doesn't work like it used to. The trusty mechanism is run down and clogged from disuse and neglect. This is a true measure of aging. It doesn't matter how many or how few birthdays you've had. When your arteries look like this, you are old. Or, to look at it another way, most of us have middle-aged bodies before our time. What's the problem? It's simply that we don't put out physically like our ancestors did, and we don't get enough exercise to make up for it. For the first time, we find ourselves so technically advanced that we no longer need to be physically active on the job or in the home. We let machines do the work. Telephone instead of visit. Use the automobile instead of walking. And let television substitute for outside activity or entertainment.
What's all this rot about this physical exercise and activity? Why?
Whatever you say, Gramps. But I would still prescribe a little exercise to take the kinks out of your back.
Fat and flab, disease and death. And that's a pretty heavy way to begin a story that can have a happy ending. Hi, I'm your host, Don Drysdale, and what the good doctor said a few minutes ago is absolutely true, but can be avoided by a sensible diet to control your weight and a program of physical activity to get you in top condition. Well, it sounds simple, doesn't it? But how can you do it? Well, first of all, why don't you let the ordinary things you do every day work for you? Must you jump in a car to go a few blocks? Walk instead. Saves gasoline, too. Try parking a distance from work or school and walking the rest of the way. Do you always have to use an elevator? Take a short break when you're working. Stretch. Lift up and down on your toes. Do a few knee bends to get the circulation going. If you're self-conscious, do it where nobody is looking. Or do some of the chores other people and machines do for you. On a date, go dancing instead of to a movie. Remember, when you get off your duff and do something, you're beginning to exercise. Then there are the games and sports you like to watch. Well, do them instead. I happen to have played baseball, but you can enjoy any one of them yourself, even if you're not an expert. In fact, being a weekend athlete can be a lot of fun and make you feel better and look better. But all too often, it consists of short periods of violent activity followed by long periods of inactivity, a poor substitute for regular exercise. What you need is a planned exercise program. Now let's let Dr. Lawrence Morehouse, head of the Human Performance Laboratory at the University of California at Los Angeles, explain.
We've been testing people to find out what exercise can actually do for them. We now know there are several things a good fitness program can do for you and your body. An obvious benefit of regular exercise is the firming of flabby muscles. In order to develop muscular strength, the muscles must work progressively against a load which is slightly heavier than the load you previously lifted. Then there's the improvement in endurance, the ability of muscles to perform prolonged and repeated contractions, and the ability of the circulatory and respiratory system to sustain this continuous muscular work. There's also the benefit of increased suppleness and coordination, with the resulting improvement in posture, figure, and grace of movement. All of these activities strengthen the heart and increase its output and efficiency, reducing the risk of heart attack and increasing your chance of survival in the case you should have a heart attack. Because frequent and regular exercise increases the number of coronary arteries, which provides a backup system and protects the heart during an attack. Evidence is overwhelming that individuals who take regular and frequent exercise maintain their correct weight, smoke less, and use less drugs. They have a better job performance record. They have fewer degenerative diseases. And by slowing the aging process, regular exercise increases your number of active years.
Well, very good, but what about that point on weight? You know, there are many people who say that exercise can't reduce weight, much less maintain it. And you know, you're supposed to walk 11 miles to lose a pound or ride a bike for 7 hours and all that. Now, are they wrong?
No, in fact, they're quite right. There are 3,500 calories in a pound of human fat. This means in order to lose a pound a week, you have to burn off 500 calories a day. Now, the best way to do this is by combining exercise and diet. Burn off 300 calories by an hour of physical activity. Cut out 200 calories from your diet by eliminating the frills such as gravies and sauces and desserts.
But if you become more active, won't you just eat more?
The strange thing is they won't. Careful studies show that those who sit around eat more. Those who are active eat less. Cattlemen know this. They pen their cattle with plenty of food around, and the cattle gain weight. Range cattle roam around, eat less, and stay lean.
Then you're saying that if you're more active, you'll eat less.
Exactly. And vigorous exercise dulls the appetite.
Well then, If I wanted to reduce, I should go on a recommended diet and combine it with an exercise program, preferably before the big meal of the day. But if I wanted to maintain my weight, a program of physical activity would be sufficient.
Right. There's no doubt in my mind that inactivity is the most important factor in explaining the frequency of creeping overweight in our society, and proper exercise is the best way to fight it.
Proper exercise, that's the key. And your choice of an exercise and how you go about exercising is of prime importance in achieving your goal. And what is your goal? Well, for some, it's gaining a trim figure, or at least not going to pot. For others, it's the feeling of health and vigor from being in top condition and staying there. Many are overweight and want to reduce or avoid creeping overweight. While for a lot of us, it's simply recreation, the pleasure of a group activity that you know is good for you. So, pick an activity you like that's consistent with your particular goal, and one that fits your age and physical condition. But make it something that is available the whole year, and one that you can afford. It can be indoors or outdoors, or both, where weather's a factor. It should be one in which you can measure yourself against available standards and exercise the whole body. Often, a combination of exercises is the best bet to fit your individual needs.
Hey, Dad, I like that scene about building muscles.
What do you need muscles for? You've got plenty between your ears already.
Very funny. Like I was saying, maybe I could take up weightlifting at school.
Why not? Sounds okay to me.
Well, I, for one, don't need any more muscles. But I sure wish I had a nice figure like...
Sid Charisse?
Right on, a dancer. See, I could take modern dancing or maybe even ballet.
Now it's my turn. Let's see. Jogging seems the best bet for me. How about you, Mary?
I know what you're thinking, and you're probably right. Maybe some conditioning exercises would do the trick. I could get Marge, and we could...
Bah, who needs that exercise junk? Not me.
And what did the doctor say?
Well, maybe he had a point there. I could take some long walks and loosen up a bit.
Well, good. So you know what you want to do, and now you want to know how to go about it.
Right on.
First, you should see your doctor for a checkup. If you're in school or young and feel in good health, there should be no problem. Take some tests at a nearby health facility to determine your present condition and capacity for exercise. Or check yourself against some established simple tests. But the older you are, the more thorough it should be, especially if you're over 40. A treadmill test is an even better way to determine how healthy your heart is. These will help you determine how much you should exercise at first. Both fitness tests and exercise programs are available in numerous books and government publications at a store or library. Pick any time and place that suits your schedule and your needs. The important thing is to make it a regular routine. Divide your exercise period into a warming up period, say stretching for instance, then the workout of your choice. A cooling down period, perhaps some more easy walking and stretching. Work up to your goal gradually. Without competing against yourself or others for that matter. Avoid setting unrealistic goals. Learn your exercise tolerance, the amount you can do with discomfort or excessive fatigue. One way to find out is to take your pulse. Count it at the wrist like this, or at the throat if you find it easier. Count the beats for 15 seconds and multiply by 4. As a general rule for fitness and health, you should never have to raise your pulse rate above 200 minus your age. However, your choice of exercise should allow you to get your pulse rate above 120 for short periods, gradually extending them to 10 minutes. For the non-athlete, that's the point where he is breathing noticeably or perspiring freely. Learn to pace yourself, alternating periods of high activity with less activity. Sit down and rest if your breathing becomes labored with tightness or pain in the chest, or if you're dizzy, weak, or nauseous. You're overdoing it also if you feel weak 2 hours afterwards, you can't sleep that night, or unduly tired the next day. Once you're in good condition, you can cut back to a maintenance program. Maybe only an hour or so a week in 3 or 4 sessions. That will be enough for you. But maintain your exercise program and make it a habit and stay with it. Join a group. Exercise along with your favorite TV program. Do your calisthenics to an exercise show. Exercise yourself and the dog. Fido needs it too. Join up with a spouse or a friend. Let others know how good you feel with regular exercise, and do it now. And believe me, you'll never feel sorry. Not today, nor through a lot of healthy tomorrows. And this is your host, Don Drysdale, wishing you good exercise.